What's up, watch enthusiasts? Kaale here. Let's talk watches. What's up, guys? Homage watches. We're going to talk about it today. What are they? How do you pronounce them? Where do they play a role? You know, why do some people just hate them, stay away from them altogether? They're just not for it, and that's okay. Comment below if you pronounce it homage or if you pronounce it homage. I'm going to tell you guys how I pronounce it. I think you can already figure that out. I call it homage watches, right? That's how I pronounce it. And I feel like homage watches are a great way for you to enjoy the design language of luxury brands. You know, oftentimes you'll find Rolex that's homage. You'll find a lot of Omegas, whether it be the Speedy or the 300 series. And I think it's a phenomenal thing. Now, while I was brushing my teeth this morning, that's where I do my best thinking, it did dawn on me, right? I said, you know, let's say somebody wanted to homage my videos and they had the same cadence, they said the same exact words, and then they just titled it a different title, or they put a different, you know, they have their YouTube name on it and they're saying, well, this is my video. Essentially, that's what the homage watches are doing. So yeah, I could see the argument for it being called just a replica or a copy. It was slapped on with a different name. So I totally understand it. But even with that being said, I still feel like there's some room in people's collection. There's some argument to be made that homage watches are still, in fact, a great way for you to enjoy the design language of luxury brands and not have to break the bank. And there's more than that. There's more reasons to that personally. So for me, when I'm wearing my homage watch, I really use that as a motivation. I do inspire to get the real thing. I do see where these luxury brands can play a role as far as being able to pass that watch down. I've seen videos of watches of that caliber being serviced and seeing how all those pieces fit in very snug. You know, when you're disassembling a watch and you're putting it back together, you have to really fiddle sometimes with some of those pieces. And sometimes if the movement isn't as well made, they're not going to fit into the sections that they go in as easy. They're not going to be as of high quality. There's going to be less technology. There's a bunch of different reasons and a bunch of different things that luxury brands do in order to justify the cost of their movements and justify the cost of the watch altogether. But at the end of the day, there is an inflated price on it because of the name, just like any other luxury brand, whether you're talking about clothing or whether you're talking about watches. You know, you're buying also the name brand and you're paying for that. And it is what it is. Either you have the money and you want to invest in it or you don't. And you make that decision down the road. And if you get a homage watch and you never plan to get the real thing, that's absolutely okay with me. I'm super accepting of all different forms of watches. The only ones that I really don't like is when you're trying to pass that watch off and it says Rolex and it didn't come from them. That for me is a little like, it's not for me. I just wouldn't do it. I feel like that's preposterous. I feel like if there are brands out there that are making a watch that's very close to, some of them take inspiration and it's truly a homage and there's still some differences, and then you have companies like Pagani Design, which I'm going to talk about here today, where they're just doing a one-for-one and they're slapping their name on it. And the first homage watch that I happened to purchase was the Sub No Date. It was the PD1694. It came in two different versions, I believe, but I wanted the one that just looked like a regular. They had one that looked like more of like a vintage with fake faux patina, and I chose the one without it. And I was completely happy with the watch. It did exactly what I needed to do. I enjoyed the watch the way it was for quite some time. But all right, let me tell you guys a story. So I was wearing my Pagani Design, and I had a link failure. I had a lug pin failure rather. And my bracelet came apart. I was on the road. I didn't have my tools on me. So I said, let me stop in real quick at a watchmaker. This is a 2-second fix. And when I brought the watch in, nobody knew what Pagani Design was there. They were selling other watches. They didn't have a whole big selection because they were more jewelry. But when they saw the watch, they started asking questions. They started talking amongst themselves first. And, the watchmaker there was like, I never saw this company. Who is this? This looks like a decent watch. Looks just like a Rolex. Blase, blase. And they didn't ask me directly after fixing the watch. They kind of just handed me the watch back, but I heard the conversation. And when I left there, I wouldn't say that I felt stupid, right? I wouldn't say that because at the end of the day, I knew what I was buying. I knew people were going to offhand just look at that watch and say, oh, is that a Rolex? And then you have to say, no, it's a Pagani design. I don't mind that. It's a Pagani design. It's a homage watch to the Rolex. I want to wear that design language, and I wear it proudly, period. But I didn't enjoy the Pagani design symbol on there. It really wasn't like, it just didn't float my boat. And I didn't want to have to go through the full conversation with somebody if it did came up and say like, yeah, this is a company that homages watches and they take after the Submariner, just go through the whole thing. And that's what led me to looking to see if I could swap out the dial. I knew that the Pagani design used the NH35 movement, which is super common. I was aware that Seiko has a bunch of dials that are aftermarket, and there's a bunch of customized options that you can go with. And I said to myself, I wonder if I can get a customized dial, put the exact dial on there that I want, which is still a Rolex design, but the logo would be one that I chose, and I actually ended up designing my Pagani design to have my last name on it. And then which led me down the road of designing a bunch of custom watches, doing the same thing. And what I basically did was I took everything that Pagani Design gave to me from the watch, and I just swapped out the dial to having my last name and having a little bit of sunburst on there. It's a really beautiful watch now. I also put since 1989, my birth year. And at that point, I was totally in love with it, right? Now I had that Rolex Submariner design. I also changed the hands on it. I'm not too fond of the Mercedes hands. It's a little played out for me. That's because that Rolex Submariner has been homaged so many times, and you see that if you're into customizing, especially customizing watches, you see that hand so many times, and it just didn't really do it for me. I like more of like a cathedral style or a pointer style, which is what I ended up putting in it. I found like a really fancy, nice pointer style and opened up the watch, changed the dials, put those hands on there, and chef's kiss. I couldn't be more happier and more proud to wear this watch. Now, on the back of the case, it still has the Pagani design stuff, and I was for a while trying to search for changing that out too. I wanted the watch to be completely, looking like a customized watch, and also the crown is signed. But I had a little bit of an issue finding the right size, and I just didn't feel like changing out the crown after I had some struggle finding a case size that would fit it. So I ended up just leaving it the way it is, and it has a story. I like the way it ended up at the end of the day. At first it was bothering me, but then I said, you know what? Let me leave the watch the way it is. The story is the way it is. It's a Pagani design with different dial and different hands, and that's 100% correct. It's 100% fine with me. As I went on, and as you guys will find out, going and finding customizable options for your watch, you'll find that the Rolex Submariner, just like the Seiko SKX007, has so many different options for you to put together that design language and make a fully customizable watch for yourself. So if you guys are interested in doing something like that, I absolutely recommend that you just look that up and find those pieces and put it together and enjoy the watch. I mean, again, the watch motivates me. I want to own the real thing one day, right? And I'm just realizing now that my lighting's not on. Hold on here. So as I said before, the Homage watch motivates me to one day own the real thing. And when I have it on wrist, in my career, I stay motivated to work my way up to be able to afford investing in that kind of caliber and watch down the road, whether it be I grab a Speedy or I grab an Omega, and all those watches. I do have Homage watches. I'm going to do a longer video where I show you guys the full array of all the customized watches I did. Some of them are, a lot of them are homages, but some of them are completely design languages on their own. They're still using Seiko pieces, so they're going to resemble a lot of the Seiko watches at the end of the day. But I do have a bunch. I have ones that I built from scratch. I have ones that I've just swapped out a dial, like this one. I mean, you name it, I pretty much have messed around with it and had a lot of fun. And those pieces are really close to the heart. They're really going to stay in my collection. They all have my last name on the dial, and whenever I'm in the mood to wear one of those design language, I just pop one of those on and I have a lot of fun. And that for me is enough to say, you know, Homage watches are definitely worth it. Now, what am I going to do with those watches down the road? Right? Let's talk about two things. Number one, they have an NH35 movement in them. So they're not going to be worth servicing when that movement is in need of it. So what I'm going to do is just buy a brand new movement and swap it out, right? So I essentially will have a watch forever. I don't foresee Seiko stepping away from making that movement. But if they do, at that point, even if Seiko was to state today that they're no longer producing that and that's not being made anymore, there's so many watches out there that have that movement in there that I could probably buy one brand new for a couple of years, even after they stop making it because of the quantities. And there's a lot of watches that have been made with it, so I could probably buy a new used watch and still swap out that movement. So I don't see the watch ever giving me an issue as far as, you know, longevity, right? That's how I get around it. And even if you add up all the times in my lifetime that I swap that movement out, if I do keep that watch forever, it's probably not going to equal one service call from Rolex and one of the luxury brands. You know, it's just the way the math works out. $35 over 10 years or 8 years, however long that movement lasts. It's just the math is, you can't touch it. So that's one of the things that I wanted to address as far as what am I going to do down the road with it. Another thing would be, what am I going to do with the watch if I do get a Rolex Submariner, right? I'm going to have this Homage watch. I'm going to have the Rolex watch. Which one am I going to put on? And that's really easy, guys. Number one, it's going to have nostalgia to me. It's going to have meaning. It's going to mean something dear to me where I can reflect and say, I remember purchasing that watch. I remember customizing that watch. And I remember that watch getting me to the real thing. So right then and there, I could keep it on. If I have a day where I'm going to do something absolutely crazy, which the Rolex Submariner, using that as example, is a super robust, super sturdy, super quality. So you could probably do anything that you want to do. It's a diver watch. You're in the water. You know, it's not something that's going to be fragile. So I could still probably wear that watch. But if I am doing something a little bit heavier, if I don't want to take the risk, if I want to go to the gym and I want to wear that design language, or if I want to go on vacation and I don't want to take the risk of bringing an expensive watch, now I have my Homage watch that I could bring with me, and that's going to solve that issue right then and there. You know, it's still going to have a place even after I get the real thing. And that's my argument, and I'm sticking to it. You know, so, you know, I hate to see this subject divide enthusiasts. It's a hot topic. If you make a post about Homage watches, a lot of people are going to jump in, and you're going to get one side or the other. And actually, you'll get an in-between ground too. You'll get people who say, I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. I won't do it. And then you'll get people who say, those are fakes. I don't support it. I hate them. I wish they didn't exist. And then you get people who buy them. And for the most part, you know, people don't have a tremendous amount of expendable income where they can get the real thing. And I think that that's where this watch or any Homage watch really plays a role. I think everybody walking on the face of this earth should be capable of putting on a design language from a watch. I don't think that Rolex should be able to just say that this is what the watch costs, and if you can't afford it, you can't wear it. It's not nice. You know what I'm saying? It really should be for everyone. And, you know, getting a little off topic, but I think that Rolex prices are insanity. You know, over 10 grand now, I think, in 24. I think they just had a price hike of the Submariner. I think it's 10.4 now, US. 10 grand, $10,000, doll hairs. Sheesh. I still want it, you know. I still want to aspire to elevate myself. That's how I keep myself motivated, and it's still a lot of money nonetheless, right? I could invest that money. I could watch it grow, and we're not going to get into watches being an investment and over time. And, it's a subject that's debatable, but it's $10,000. It's a lot of money, and I don't think that they're. I don't think that all of their watches should be priced that high. I think you should be able to step into a brand new Rolex Submariner, walk into the AD, which is another whole thing, right? Because they don't have it in stock or whatever. But I think everybody should be able to walk into an AD in $2,000, which is still a lot of money, right? Like, me and you are enthusiasts, so we justified it to ourselves already, where we're like, maybe in the beginning we're like, 3 grand. I ain't gonna get that. And then as you collect and as you go on and as you learn and as you get more infatuated, you're like, yeah, 3 grand. I could spend that on a watch. You know what I mean? Like, you love it so much. You get into the hobby, you get into the collecting so much that your mind literally changes on the value of a watch. And even then, I think that the prices of these luxury brands are just like, everybody should be able to inspire to it and be able to touch it without it being a humongous chunk in their income. So that's another reason why I gravitate towards Homage watches. I'm for them. Even if you're going to stop there and it's not a motivation for you to keep going, have at it. Let's do it. Put it on. Wear it proudly. And if somebody asks you, hey, what do you got there? The Rolex Submariner? Let me see. You can tell them no. You put a big smile on your face. Say, no, this is a homage watch to that. I really love the design language, but I don't want to shell out the thousands and thousands of dollars for it, and I don't want to get an exact fake of it. So I got a company that specializes in making replicas of it without actually it being an illegal copy of it, right? And they put their brand name on it. I mean, if you want to talk about it, you may even want to tell the person, yeah, it's a Rolex, and then just keep it pushing. You know what I mean? That's all right. But those are my hot takes on it, guys. I just wanted to do a little video on that and tell you guys what I think about it personally. Comment down below what you guys think of it. Do you guys own a Homage watch to any caliber? Is it a direct one-for-one? Is it a customized one that you made, like how I did myself? Did you do it after the fact? Did you buy like a Pagani design and then customize it? Is it something that you're thinking about? Ask me any questions that you guys want to. If you want to know exactly how I did it, I mean, again, it's very simple. AliExpress, they have a bunch of dials there. They're willing to do customizations. So, you don't have to go with that. There's a bunch of different companies online. You could probably Google search customized dial for NH35, and then you'll get a bunch of companies that do it. But if you have any questions for me, comment down below and let me know. Subscribe, like this video if you did like it. Even if you didn't agree, I would appreciate it. And listen, if you didn't even agree with me and you want to comment below, have at it, man. Let's have a conversation. We could still disagree completely and have a respectful conversation. At the end of the day, we don't have to be enemies. We could be indifferent, but we could still respect each other's opinion. That's my take. So subscribe, comment, like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. So comment below. Comment below whether or not you think that Homage watches. No, but I call it Homage. I call it Homage. I'm messing this up, but it is in the. But it's in the. It's in a. What am I trying to say here? So. What am I trying to say here? Now I lost my train of thought. Hang on. Clock's ticking. We're at 10 minutes and 43 seconds. Oh, the video didn't freeze, I'm thinking. So you guys can purchase those pieces aftermarket. You could find a bunch of, you know, no, let's edit this out too. Oh my gosh! I think that everybody walking in the face of this earth is a, what am I saying? Blah, blah, blah. Hello, watch enthusiast. Skylar Santana here. Let's talk watches. What's up, guys? Having a little bit of fun. I figured I would choose to have. I figured I'd do something a little different here, and I'll hold the mic. Why, I don't know. It looks like a little microphone, so I figured why not give it a shot, have a little fun. I was like, man, this is a pretty good quality mic. Wonder why it's so cheap, and then this happened. Oh, that's where the savings went. Okay, let's stop for a moment. Editing Santana here. I had to take off the mic. It's too close to the mouth. I checked the audio. It's way too loud. So we'll put it back. We'll put it back.